In this video, I will be explaining the BCA 5th semester subject programming using ASP.NET as prescribed by Osmania University and other universities of Telangana. We will go through the important questions and answers one by one. Let's begin with a quick revision. Unit 1 first important short question is: what is ASP.NET? ASP.NET is a web application development framework created by Microsoft. It helps programmers build dynamic websites, web applications, and web services easily. In simple words, ASP.NET allows you to create websites that can change according to user input, just like shopping sites, login pages, or online forms. ASP.NET works on top of the .NET framework, so you can use languages like C# or VB.NET to write code. It provides many ready-made tools and controls such as text box, button, grid view, etc., which save time for developers. Example: imagine you want to build a student login page. In ASP.NET, you can drag a text box for username, a password box, and a login button. Then write a small C# code that checks if the username and password are correct. The page then shows login successful. This is how ASP.NET helps create smart and interactive web pages easily. Overall, ASP.NET makes web development faster, secure, and beginner-friendly, which is why it is widely used in India and across the world. Next important short question is: 2. How does a web application work? A web application works by communicating between your web browser, Chrome, Firefox, etc., and a web server like IIS or Apache. It follows a simple 3-step process: request, processing, response. 1. User sends a request. When you type a website link or click a button, your browser sends a request to the server. Example: clicking login on a student portal. 2. Server processes the request. The server receives the request and runs the required code, ASP.NET, PHP, etc. It may also connect to a database to fetch details. Example: server checks your username and password in the database. 3. Server sends a response. After processing, the server sends back a web page response to your browser. Example: it shows welcome student or invalid login. This back and forth communication happens in seconds, making web apps feel fast and interactive. In short, a web application works like a conversation between browser and server, making online services smooth and user-friendly. Next important short question is: 3. Write about HTTP. HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, is the main communication protocol used on the Internet. It helps your browser and the web server talk to each other. Whenever you open a website, click a link, or submit a form, HTTP carries the message between your computer and the server. HTTP works in a simple way: request-response. Your browser sends an HTTP request, and the server replies with an HTTP response. Example: when you open www.google.com, your browser sends an HTTP request saying, "Give me the Google homepage." The server responds with the webpage, images, and data. HTTP also uses different methods like GET to fetch data, POST to send data, like login details. HTTP is a stateless protocol, meaning it does not remember previous requests. To manage login sessions, websites use cookies or sessions. In simple words, HTTP is the language of the web, helping users quickly access pages and services everywhere on the Internet. Next important short question is: 4. ASP.NET role. ASP.NET plays an important role in building powerful, dynamic, and secure web applications. It is a part of Microsoft's .NET framework, which means developers can use languages like C# to write code easily. Its main role is to make web development faster, organized, and user-friendly. ASP.NET provides many ready-made controls such as text box, button, drop-down list, grid view, etc. These controls reduce coding and help developers build web pages quickly. It also has strong features like security, session management, error handling, and data access, which make web apps reliable. Example: suppose you want to create a student registration form. In ASP.NET, you just drag and drop controls, write a few lines of C# code, and connect it to a database. ASP.NET automatically manages validation, page events, and data storage. ASP.NET also supports MVC, web forms, web APIs, and works well with Visual Studio IDE, helping beginners and professionals create modern websites. In simple words, ASP.NET's role is to make web development simple, fast, and efficient. Next important short question is 5. Define namespace. A namespace in ASP.NET and .NET is like a folder that stores related classes, methods, and objects in an organized way. Just like keeping files in different folders helps you find them quickly, namespaces help programmers manage code easily without confusion. Microsoft has created many namespaces for different purposes. For example, System Basic Classes, Console, Math, String. System.Web classes for web pages. System.Data classes for database operations. Namespaces prevent name conflicts. This means two classes can have the same name if they are in different namespaces. Example: you may have two classes named student, but if one is in college.student and another in school.student, both can exist without any problem. In ASP.NET, we use the using keyword to include namespaces in our code. Using system. Using system.web. In simple words, a namespace is a logical container that keeps related code together, makes programs neat, and avoids confusion for developers. Next Unit 1. Long questions. First important long question is 1. Web applications with web servers. A web application is a software program that runs inside a web browser like Chrome, Firefox, or Edge. Unlike normal desktop applications, you don't need to install a web application on your computer. You simply open it using the internet. Examples include IRCTC ticket booking, Amazon shopping, student portals, online banking, and Gmail. To make a web application work smoothly, we need a web server. A web server is a powerful computer that stores all the website files like HTML pages, ASP.NET pages, images, videos, CSS, JavaScript, and database connections. When a user visits a website, the request is handled by the web server. How a web application works with a web server, step by step. 1. User sends request. When a user types a URL like www.amazon.in or clicks a button, the browser sends a request to the web server using HTTP/HTTPS. 2. Web server receives the request. The request reaches the web server, like IIS for ASP.NET or Apache for PHP. The server decides which file or page the user needs. 3. Server processes the request. If the web page uses dynamic technology like ASP.NET, the server executes the C# code, checks data, validates input, and may communicate with a database like SQL Server or MySQL. 4. Server creates response. After processing, the server prepares the final web page, HTML plus CSS plus JS, and sends it back to the user's browser. 5. Browser displays the page. Finally, the browser shows the web page to the user in a readable format. Example, easy to remember. Think of a food delivery process. You, browser, place an order. The restaurant, server, receives it. The chef, server-side code, prepares your food. The delivery boy, HTTP protocol, brings the food. You enjoy your meal, web page displayed. This is exactly how a web application works with a web server. Why ASP.NET works well with web servers? ASP.NET runs on IIS, which provides high performance. It supports authentication, security, and session management. It makes dynamic web pages faster and more secure. In simple words, a web application is what the user sees and interacts with. A web server is the brain that processes everything behind the scenes. Together, they make online services work smoothly, fast, and safely. Next important long question is: 2. What is the role of web server? Explain about Apache and IIS web servers. Role of web server plus Apache and IIS explanation. A web server is a powerful computer or software that stores, manages, and delivers web pages to users. Whenever you open a website, your browser sends a request to the web server, and the server sends back the web page. Without a web server, websites cannot run. Role of a web server, easy explanation. 1. Stores website files. All the web pages, images, CSS, JavaScript, and ASP.NET files are stored on the web server. 2. Processes user requests. When a user clicks a link or submits a form, the web server receives the request and processes it. 3. Runs server-side code. For dynamic websites, ASP.NET, PHP, Python, the server executes backend logic before sending the page. 4. Connects to databases. It interacts with databases like SQL Server or MySQL to fetch or store data. 5. Sends web page to browser. After processing, the server sends the final output, HTML page, back to the browser. IIS Web Server, Microsoft. IIS, Internet Information Services, is a web server developed by Microsoft. It is specially designed to run ASP.NET applications. Features of IIS. Works perfectly with ASP.NET and C#. Supports authentication, security, and session management. Provides high performance and reliability. Comes with Windows Server and Windows OS. Example: a college website developed in ASP.NET will be hosted on IIS to run smoothly and securely. Apache Web Server, Open Source. Apache is a free and open source web server developed by the Apache Software Foundation. It is the most widely used web server worldwide. Features of Apache. Supports many languages like PHP, Python, Java, and Perl. Works on many operating systems, Windows, Linux, macOS. Highly customizable with modules. Free and easy to use for students and beginners. Example: a PHP-based shopping site or blog, like WordPress, is usually hosted on Apache. In simple words, web server is equal to delivers web pages to users. IIS is equal to best for ASP.NET applications. Apache is equal to best for PHP and open source apps. Both servers help make web applications fast, reliable, and user-friendly. Next important long question is 3. Explain the ASP.NET Life Cycle. ASP.NET Life Cycle. The ASP.NET Life Cycle explains how an ASP.NET web page is created, processed, and displayed in the browser. Each time a user requests a web page, ASP.NET follows a series of steps. Understanding this life cycle helps developers write correct and efficient code. Main stages of ASP.NET Page Life Cycle. 1. Page request. When a user types a URL or clicks a button, the browser sends a request to the server. If the page is requested for the first time, ASP.NET compiles it. 2. Start stage. ASP.NET creates the page object and sets important properties like request, response, and is postback. 3. Page initialization, init. Controls like text box, button, label, etc. are created and assigned unique IDs. Example, if you have a text box in your form, it is now ready to use. 4. Load view state. If the page was loaded before, ASP.NET restores previous values, like text box content. This helps in remembering user input. 5. Page load event. All controls are loaded with data. This is where developers usually write code to show database data. 6. Postback event handling. If the user clicked a button, its event, like button_click, is executed here. 7. Validation. ASP.NET checks if the form data is valid, email format, required fields, etc. 8. Save view state. The page saves control values so they can be restored next time. 9. Render. ASP.NET converts the page into HTML, CSS, and JavaScript so the browser can understand it. 10. Unload. All resources like database connections are released. The page object is removed from memory. Easy example to remember. Imagine you are cooking Maggi. 1. Request is equal to you decide to cook. 2. Start is equal to you take utensils. 3. init is equal to you add basic ingredients. 4. Load is equal to you add main ingredients. 5. Events is equal to stir or add masala. 6. Render is equal to dish is ready. 7. Unload is equal to clean the kitchen. Similarly, ASP.NET prepares, processes, and completes a web page step by step. Final summary. The ASP.NET Life Cycle is a sequence of stages that helps ASP.NET create dynamic, interactive, and user-friendly web pages. Understanding it makes coding easier, cleaner, and error-free. Next important long question is 4. Explain TCP/IP role in web application development. TCP/IP role in web application development. TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol Internet Protocol, is the foundation of Internet communication. It is a set of rules that helps computers, servers, and devices send and receive data over the Internet. Without TCP/IP, web applications like Gmail, Amazon, or student portals cannot work. Role of TCP/IP in web applications. 1. Reliable communication, TCP. TCP ensures that all data sent from the client, browser, reaches the server correctly. If any data is lost, TCP automatically resends it. This is important for web applications where accuracy matters. Example, while submitting a form in a college portal, TCP ensures your name, roll number, and marks reach the server safely. 2. Addressing and routing, IP. IP gives every device a unique address so data knows where to go. It decides the best path for data to travel from the user's computer to the web server. Example, when you open www.amazon.in, IP ensures your request reaches the correct Amazon server. 3. Data is split into packets. TCP/IP breaks large data into small packets and sends them separately. The server reassembles them in the correct order. This makes web applications faster and more efficient. 4. Works with HTTP/HTTPS. TCP/IP works behind the scenes when your browser uses HTTP or HTTPS to communicate with web servers. It ensures pages load, files download, and forms submit without errors. 5. Security and efficiency. TCP/IP allows firewalls, SSL, and encryption to work with web applications, making them secure for online banking, shopping, and sensitive data handling. Easy example to remember. Imagine sending a parcel through courier service. TCP is equal to ensures all items in the parcel arrive safely, replacing anything lost. IP is equal to the courier address, guiding the parcel to the correct house. Packets is equal to the items are packed separately but arranged correctly at delivery. Final summary. In simple words, TCP/IP is the backbone of web applications. It ensures that data travels safely, reaches the correct server, and is assembled properly. Without TCP/IP, dynamic websites, online forms, and interactive web applications built using ASP.NET would not work. It is like the road and traffic system for the Internet, making web communication smooth and reliable. Next important long question is: 5. Discuss the ASP.NET framework and its major components. ASP.NET framework and its major components. ASP.NET is a web application framework developed by Microsoft to create dynamic, interactive, and secure web applications. It is part of the .NET framework, which means it uses the same programming languages like C# or VB.NET and provides a lot of built-in tools for developers. ASP.NET makes web development faster, easier, and more reliable. Major components of ASP.NET framework. 1. Web forms. Web forms are used to create interactive web pages using drag-and-drop controls like text box, button, grid view, etc. Example, a student registration form where you fill name, roll number, and email. 2. MVC, Model View Controller. MVC is a design pattern used in ASP.NET to separate application logic into 3 parts. Model handles data and business logic. View the user interface, HTML, CSS, JS. Controller handles user requests and updates model view. Example, an online shopping site where the controller updates product info, the model fetches data from the database, and the view displays it to the user. 3. Web API. ASP.NET Web API allows developers to create RESTful services that can be used by mobile apps, web apps, or other services. Example, a mobile app getting weather data from a server. 4. SignalR. SignalR is used for real-time communication between server and client. Example, chat applications, live notifications, or stock price updates. 5. Security and authentication. ASP.NET provides built-in security features like login authentication, roles, and session management to protect applications. Example, only logged-in students can access exam results. 6. Caching and state management. ASP.NET can store data temporarily using caching and session management, making websites faster and more responsive. Easy example to remember. Think of ASP.NET as a kitchen for web applications. Web forms is equal to kitchen utensils, text box, button. MVC is equal to chef, controller, recipe, model, dish presentation, view. Web API is equal to delivery service for mobile apps. SignalR is equal to live order tracking. Final summary. The ASP.NET framework is a complete toolkit for building modern, secure, and dynamic websites. Its components like web forms, MVC, web API, and SignalR help developers create applications efficiently. In simple words, ASP.NET provides everything a programmer needs to turn ideas into interactive web applications, making coding easier, faster, and professional.